If I were to ask you who is the largest landowner in the US, what would you say? Now, I'm not talking about the US government or state governments or anything like that. I'm talking about private individuals, private companies, nonprofits, other organizations like that. Well, here's the list of the 20 largest private landowners in the US. And some of these make sense, like the Nature Conservancy, for example. But some of these, though, I've never heard of, like Stan Kroenke. I have no idea who that guy is. But the largest private landowner in the US, owning over 3 times more land than second place, is a company called Weyerhaeuser. And who are they? Well, they are the largest lumber company in the US. They produce millions of board feet of lumber and sheet goods each year and generate about $7 billion in revenue annually. Well, Weyerhaeuser recently held an investor call where they discussed their latest earnings and gave some insight into the lumber industry, as well as the housing market and where lumber prices may be headed. With as big as they are and with as much information as they have, a call like this is a great opportunity for us to get some insight into what may be coming next. So let's dive in. Let's start off with the CEO of Weyerhaeuser. He's a guy named Devin Stockfish, and here's what he said about recent developments in lumber prices.
From a lumber standpoint, we obviously saw a nice run in Southern Yellow Pine and really across the composite, but mostly in Southern Yellow Pine in Q1. I think that was really driven primarily by 2 key things. Number one, we just saw a lot of supply come out of the system last year. As we've said, over the past couple of years, probably 50-ish mills have been shut down or curtailed.
So first of all, he's saying that the price of lumber and Southern Yellow Pine specifically went up a bit in the first quarter. And the first major reason that he gave was that around 50 or so lumber mills have closed or had curtailments. And that really reduces the supply of lumber because there are fewer producers and less lumber being produced as a result.
And that was against a backdrop of coming into 2026. A lot of the dealer networks and customers, generally speaking, were carrying pretty lean inventories. And when we moved into the spring building season, there was just a bit of a scramble to get product. You've seen that level off a little bit here in Southern Yellow Pine. It's been a little volatile over the last few weeks, but ultimately between treaters and multifamily, Southern Yellow Pine should hold up reasonably well going forward. I would note we've also, at the same time, seen a pretty nice run up in Douglas fir prices, and so obviously we benefit there.
So in this clip, he mentions that their customers and lumber dealer networks were holding less inventory than normal at the start of the year, and therefore had to buy more lumber for the spring building season, which increased demand for that short time. And as a result, lumber prices went a bit higher. Now, there are a few things that we need to understand here. First of all, when they talk about higher lumber prices, that to them is a good thing. They want higher prices because, of course, they make more money when prices are higher. So we always have to view whatever they're saying from that lens, because we, ourselves want the opposite. We want lower prices. The second thing is that he's talking about supply and demand. Lumber mills closed, and so that decreased supply, then their customers had low inventories, and that increased demand for that short time.
One of the things that I think it's really important to understand about our business and the potential for profitability is that ultimately what drives profitability in our business is the supply-demand dynamic across our product lines. And I think you saw a really good example of that in the lumber business in Q1.
And that is really what it comes down to here, supply and demand. Lumber is a commodity, and a commodity is an interchangeable raw material. The lumber that you buy from Weyerhaeuser is the same as the lumber you buy from Georgia-Pacific. Now, of course, there are differences in quality and grade and species, but you get the idea. You can build a house with Douglas fir. You can build a house with spruce. You can build a house with Southern Yellow Pine. They're different, but they are interchangeable for the same purposes. So commodities depend upon supply and demand. The supply is driven by producers, and the demand is driven by consumers. And when either supply or demand fluctuate, so does the price. Oftentimes, economists will use what are called demand curves to illustrate this point. In normal times, when everything's humming along, things are in equilibrium. Then when something changes, like supply is restricted, for example, then there is less to go around, and so prices go up. It's the same on the demand side. If there are more people demanding something, if there's more people going after the same amount of resources, then those resources will inevitably be priced higher. And so in the spring, we saw both supply being restricted and demand going up, and so prices went up slightly as well. The demand that they saw in the first quarter was short-term. Their customers' inventories were low, so they ordered a bit more to get their inventories back to where they needed to be, and then at that point, the demand rushes over. The restricted supply, however, is not short-term. Closing a lumber mill is a big deal, and you can't just open up another one next week. It takes millions of dollars and years to build a new one. But right now, with demand being as low as it is, it's not really a problem. But that could easily change and quickly change if demand changes. And what's the biggest driver for demand? That is the housing market. And Weyerhaeuser had a lot to say about where the housing market's going. But before I get into those details, I want to tell you about this video's sponsor, American Financing. There's a lot going on in the world today, and the economy feels shaky in a way that it hasn't felt in a long time. Between persistent inflation and higher gas and food prices, a lot of us are feeling squeezed, and a lot of people are turning to high-interest credit cards to fill the gap. That's where American Financing can help. American Financing customers are saving an average of $800 a month by using today's rates in the fives to wipe out high-interest debt. That's real money back in your pocket at a time when everything else is getting more expensive. With American Financing, there are no upfront fees, no pressure, and if you start today, you could delay 2 mortgage payments, giving you even more breathing room. They're also taking a different approach to the industry with salary-based mortgage consultants. These are people who are not paid on commission, so their job is to help you build a real plan for your future, not just upsell you. So if you're feeling the weight of this economy, give them a call at 866-890-9749. That's 866-890-9749 or americanfinancing.net/DIY with Dave. It costs nothing to call them and see what they can do for you. Now let's get back to the video. All right, so the largest lumber company in the US, Weyerhaeuser, cares a lot about what happens to the housing market, and they discussed it in detail on their call. In their prepared remarks before analyst questions, the CEO said this about the housing market.
After a lackluster 2025, the housing market remains largely stuck in second gear. Based on conversations with our homebuilder customers, the biggest issues continue to be weak consumer confidence and ongoing affordability challenges. And more recently, the conflict in the Middle East has reinvigorated inflationary pressures and elevated uncertainty around the economy.
So the housing market is stuck, mainly due to weak consumer confidence and affordability issues combined with the conflict in the Middle East and inflationary pressures. He also talked about mortgage rates and how they've ticked up a bit as well.
Given these headwinds, the spring building season has gotten off to a somewhat softer start than we were expecting at the outset of 2026. However, we're still fairly early in the year, so there's certainly time for the housing market to pick up some momentum, especially if we see a resolution in the Middle East or if mortgage rates trend lower.
So things did not pick up as much as they would have liked to see at the start of the year, but they say that there's still time. So this recording was made back in May, and now we're sitting here in June, so we're about a month away. But I want to ask you, do you guys think at this point we're going to have housing pick up later this year, or do you think that things will further stagnate? Leave me a comment and let me know. It's a tough question, and no one really knows the answer. But me personally, I've got my money on a further stagnating housing market because unfortunately, I don't see things improving between now and the end of the year. Now, I may be wrong, and so leave me a comment, let me know what you think, and let me know if you think I'm wrong, if you think that the housing boom is right around the corner. Now, there is a big difference between the short term and the long term. So far, they've been talking about the short-term housing market, but he also went on to address the long-term housing market, and here's what he said about that.
Our longer-term outlook on housing fundamentals, however, remains favorable, supported by strong demographic trends and a vastly underbuilt housing stock.
Now, this is a fact that I have been talking about for years. We simply have not built enough homes in this country to keep up with demographic trends. The National Association of Home Builders estimates that the shortfall is around 1.5 million units, and the National Association of Realtors thinks that it's more like 5 million units. Regardless, this lackluster supply increases home prices. It makes it harder for home buyers, especially first-time home buyers. And it pushes people into less than desirable living arrangements, like living with family, leasing, or living in apartments. The point that the CEO is making here is that in the long term, more homes will by necessity need to be built. And that just needs to happen to keep up with demand. And that's good for a lumber company like Weyerhaeuser. But the housing boom will not happen until inflation is under control, rates come down, and consumer sentiment changes. They also went on to discuss the repair and remodel market, which is also a huge source for lumber demand. And here's what he said on that point.
Turning to the repair and remodel market, activity has been steady, but has lacked a clear catalyst, largely driven by many of the same factors impacting the residential construction market. We do expect to see the typical pickup in activity as we get deeper into the building season, and more broadly if interest rates move lower and we get some improvement in existing home sales. In addition, we think the dynamic around deferrals of large discretionary projects over the last few years will ultimately serve as a tailwind, particularly as the macro environment improves. But similar to the housing market, a material pickup in repair and remodel activity likely will require an improvement in overall consumer confidence.
So there's a bit of corporate gibberish here. But essentially what he's saying is that the remodel market is suffering from a lot of the same things that the new home construction market is suffering from. Homeowners are not taking on projects right now, and they're deferring their repairs and remodeling to some point in the future. But that can't last forever, and they know that. They expect that in the long term, repairs and remodeling will pick up again, and so will demand for lumber as a result. Now, there's another issue that is having a huge impact on them that will ultimately impact the price of lumber as well. And for that, let me play you a clip of a question from an analyst.
Can you talk a little bit about the inflationary pressures y'all are seeing? I'm specifically thinking about resin for OSB and in general freight transportation costs.
So he's asking about their costs and inflation and how it is impacting them. And here's what they had to say about it.
We are, of course, as you'd expect, we're seeing the impacts of higher energy costs as a result of the conflict in the Middle East in several places across our business. In timberlands, most notably, that's going to be in log and haul costs, fertilizer, transportation, as well as ocean freight for our export business. On the wood product side, to your point, yes, we are going to see that in resin and additive costs, as well as transportation as we think about getting products to customers.
So he says that they are beginning to see their costs increase from oil prices to fertilizers and more. And this is one of the main reasons why a lot of smaller lumber mills have shut down. When prices for your product are low and you can't sell them for what you need to and your costs go up, essentially you get squeezed out of business. Now, Weyerhaeuser has said that they're focused on controlling costs and doing their best to keep costs down, but then they also said this.
But we're also able to share some of those costs with vendors and customers, whether that be through log and haul rates or via the delivery costs that are typically passed along to customers.
So their costs are going to be higher, but according to them, they're going to pass those costs on to their customers, who ultimately pass those costs along to us, the consumers. All right, so what does all this mean? Well, demand right now is low, but so is supply. And so we've hit an equilibrium and prices are staying fairly steady. But that won't continue forever. And here's what the company had to say about that.
We would love to see housing starts at 1.5 million, but as you look back over the last several decades, there have been plenty of moments in time where we've made significant profits with housing starts well below 1.5. It really comes down to what is the supply-demand dynamic in each individual product line. As we saw lumber prices really at, on an inflation-adjusted basis, historic lows last year, we saw the market respond by shutting down and curtailing mills. And that supply impact is really one of the key drivers for what happened with lumber prices in Q1. And so I think that's just a really important thing to keep in mind is that, yes, we think housing will improve, but ultimately it's about supply-demand dynamics in each product line. Of course, we've been very focused on all the things that we're supposed to be focused on, cost, OpEx. We've layered in innovation. We've got really strong brand recognition, customer support. So we're out there battling every day. We've got a lot of upside as you see pricing improve, and you started to see some of that in lumber in Q1. And certainly at some point when we see the housing market really return to a more normalized level, there is just a tremendous amount of upside across our businesses and wood products.
So did you catch what he said there? He said tremendous upside. He's saying that because mills have closed, there's less supply, and when the housing market comes roaring back, lumber prices are going to skyrocket. Now remember, he's the opposite of us. When he says tremendous upside, that means tremendous downside for us in the form of higher lumber prices. Now, these aren't the only factors impacting lumber. Now, towards the end of the call, he addressed one more thing, and here's what he said.
There are a few things going on here. First and foremost, there's just a lot less SPF coming into the U.S. today.
Just to clarify here, SPF stands for spruce, pine, and fir. It's a category of lumber, and a lot of SPF lumber comes from Canada.
And that's a function of some long-term trends with beetle infestation, regulatory dynamics that have made it very challenging to make lumber in Canada. That's also a function of the duty tariff dynamic that we have at play. So there's just overall less SPF coming into the U.S., which creates an opportunity for both Douglas fir, but also for southern yellow pine.
All right, so he's talking about the fact that Canadian lumber imports are down, both for regulatory and tariff reasons, but also just due to issues with things like beetle infestations that are killing forests all over the western US and Canada. And when he talks about Douglas fir and southern yellow pine, those are the two most common lumber species that Weyerhaeuser sells. Doug fir grows in the Pacific Northwest, and southern yellow pine grows in the Southeast. So what he's saying here is that we are importing less lumber from Canada, which reduces supply again, and ultimately has a potential to increase prices by a lot if demand goes up, again, because of supply restrictions. All right, so let's talk about final conclusions here. So first, it sounds to me like they don't expect any crazy price increases this year. That said, there could be some costs that are passed on to consumers in the form of higher prices due to the effects of the conflict in the Middle East. They expect housing demand to stay the same as long as consumer sentiment is poor, affordability is an issue, and interest rates remain high. Same for the remodel market. The real fireworks are going to happen if and when, probably when, the housing demand picks up. The constraints on supply cannot be solved quickly, and so if there is a building boom, we're going to see prices like we saw back in 2020 and 2021. That's what we really need to look out for. As always, I want to know what you think. Do you see a housing boom on the horizon, or are we closer to a bust? Do you think that the conflict in the Middle East is going to resolve quickly, or do you think that it's going to be prolonged and have an even greater impact moving forward? Leave me a comment and let me know your thoughts. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.